Hey everybody, Chris Scalzo here. So it's been a crazy week with everything that's going on. There's a movement by some prominent people on Twitter that we follow and work with. I think Colby Mack, right, was one of the big instigators of this, and I think it makes sense was for kind of podcasts and stuff to kind of go dark for the week. And I honestly went back and forth on what to do about that. Message wise, I think it's good. I personally need an outlet at times too, which is what this show is for me in many ways. I'm really personally struggling with it, but we're still going to do our best to give you an entertaining show. In fact, I'm hoping by the time we actually get into the show part, you'll think like it was recorded at an entirely different time. You won't be able to hear the sorrow that I'm experiencing. So in the meantime, if you're trying to figure out ways, what you can do, if you're stuck at home, you're not in an area that's dealing with all the protests, whatever the case may be, yeah, I'd recommend going to like blacklivesmatter.com. You can maybe support local bail bond places to help bail out protesters in your area. You can support Black-owned stores and artists. And I would recommend too, you've probably seen this going the rounds of social media, is not to use hashtag Black Lives Matter if you're making any type of kind of personal statement, because they're using that as kind of a communication tool to track protests and movements and what's happening on the streets in real time. So try and avoid that if you can. And then also too, on our Twitter page at The First Run, I had retweeted Gender Vamp, who had provided a lot of great information if you're not quite sure what you can do and you're limited in your options. So go ahead and check that out. There's a lot of great information there. And I hope you'll forgive us if you are socially conscious that we're still going to move forward for the show this week. I think it's more of a, as I said, a personal need for me. It's one of the few outlets I have to help deal with stuff as well. And if you're angry at us for even bringing this stuff up, I don't know what to tell you. I've enjoyed your listenership, and if this is it, then this is it. I'm not quite sure what else to tell you. We purposely try and stay non-political on the show as much as we can, but Christ, man, I can't think of a darker time that I've been than in my lifetime than what we're experiencing right now. All right. Thanks. That's my little pre-show whatever. I hope you guys still enjoy what's left to come. And let's start everything off. So, Matt, take it away. Actually, it's me. I hit the buttons. Chris Scalzi here with
Matt Howell.
And on this episode of The First Run, Matt and I can discuss Josh Trank's Capone, starring the Tom Hardy, which is, I think, how I'm going to address him going forward. The Tom Hardy. Perhaps, hopefully, your new James Bond? Maybe. Our 86 marathon, I should clarify that. 86 comedy marathon, because having an 86 marathon can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Hey, Grandma. We're going to talk about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It is the final film, which means, of course, it's going to be the Marathon Awards, where we're going to tell you who the best actor was, actress, the best film, direction, and probably the scene that offended us the most. We'll tell you what's coming up in your big physical media picks this week, including your straight-to-DVD and streaming picks of the week as well. Matt, we have some viewer emails, or listener emails. Maybe you watch it on the YouTube show. I don't know. And as usual, they support me. For the most part. So, of course, they will get read. So let's start everything off with a clip from Capone, which at one point was titled Fonzo. And we can talk about that a little bit, too. Take a listen.
After all this following, this looking, and the searching, finally they found it. New home. A nasty, cramped little shoebox with a broke window, a mattress, and 3 rats on a crappy little street in Brooklyn. Park Slope. You ever been to Park Slope? Didn't think so. So, we would sit up by the broke window with them 3 rats, and we would look out that window at all them other families out there having their lavish parties. You know, their home-cooked pies and their roasted turkeys and their stuffings with topped cranberries and mountains of mashed potatoes and gravy, all that. fancy stuff. All them families out there. Except for us.
Why?
Because we was broke. We had nothing. So every year about this time, we get together as a family and we shove it in Brooklyn's face.
Okay, Matt. Capone. Why don't you tell the fine folks at home, cowering in fear, I'm assuming, what is Capone all about? It's gotten a lot of press. Scott Wampler of Birth Movies Death absolutely loved it in its awfulness, I think. But there's a lot of great things about it. I don't know. So what do you tell people? What is this thing all about?
So this is the story of Al Capone, a very narrow part of his life. He's dying from syphilis. He's been released from prison after serving a decade in there, and he's basically been shipped off to Florida to die. It's essentially about his deteriorating physical and mental state as he kind of flashbacks to parts of his life and some of the things he's done and kind of reconciles as best he can with his upcoming death.
I have to admit, I wish they'd stuck with Fonzo. I don't know why. I think that's what he's called most, right, in the film. In fact, there's even a scene, or I think, where Linda Cardellini, who plays his wife May, because they're like, well, we don't use that word or that name around here, referring to Al, right? So, still, I don't know, just a little slight thing. What I'm thinking is, though, is maybe due to the smaller budget and the limited release, especially obviously now, that maybe they wanted to cash in on the name recognition of Capone more than Fonzo would have granted them. Either way, Matt, Capone features who I think maybe be our possibly our greatest working actor today, Tom Hardy, because, of course, our boy has retired, Daniel Day-Lewis. So I'm trying to think who I hold in higher esteem right now.
Defoe?
Willem?
Yeah. No, the other one.
What? No. What? No. So anyway, so you got Tom Hardy here who stars as Capone. So does Trank redeem himself here? He's finally kind of got creative control, right? The Fantastic Four debacle where the studio came in and basically redid a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not even his film per what he says. He had a much darker film. And I guess he missed the Snyder Cut activity by a few years, unfortunately for him. So does he redeem himself here now that he has full creative control, or are we starting to think maybe that Chronicle was a fluke?
Yeah, I'm going to say Chronicle was a fluke because I'm not impressed with this film. I don't know if I agree with your just kind of immediate dismissal of Willem Dafoe, especially as of late, but anyway.
Well, I wouldn't... Yeah. I'm not dismissing Dafoe. I just don't... Yeah.
Really, you don't think Florida Project, a film that you gushed and raved about in the last 2 years?
I think it's more because I don't... When I see a Willem Dafoe joint popping up, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go see this. It's Dafoe. Mm-hmm. But I have that for Hardy. If Hardy's in a film, I want to check. I definitely want to make sure I check it out. You know, it starts to shoot to the top of my list. Though I am now maybe rethinking that.
Yeah, because I mean, did you see his Cray film? Tom Hardy's Cray film? Not so good. Not good at all.
And after this, I don't know if I want to. It actually made me curious about seeing that film. What is it called again? And why am I blanking on the name of it?
Yeah, where he plays both the Cray brothers, the twins. Venom, not so great.
Not so great.
Yeah.
Oh, Legend was the name of it.
Okay.
But he was great in Dunkirk, and all you ever really saw was his eyes. And he delivers one of the best performances, if not, I think, the best performance in that film. And, of course, don't forget he was FN 926 in Star Wars The Last Jedi, even though it was a deleted scene.
Very true. Very, very true. But we digress. Anyway, yeah, honestly, when I was like, Josh Trank, why does that seem familiar? So I went and looked at it. I was like, oh, right, that guy. That explains quite a bit about what I'm watching here. Because it's basically an incoherent mess. I mean, despite my esteemed co-host, who probably has more bona fides than I do, his statement about Tom Hardy, I don't see a Tom Hardy joint that kind of jumps to the top of my list, because it's like, what are you going to get? Are you going to get Dunkirk Tom Hardy? Or are you going to get the crazy accent Tom Hardy like he does in Venom or in this or in The Craze, where it's basically this like unhinged, unwatchable I don't know what the hell he's doing kind of thing. Completely unconvincing American criminal of some kind. I understand what Trank is trying to do, but I think obviously when you're talking about somebody who's his real life, and I will be the first to admit I'm not much of a Capone scholar at all. So I don't know how much of this could even possibly be based around people's recollections of his last days. But it seems to me like it's a lot of speculation, a lot of flights of fancy, just a lot of stuff he seems to be making up and throwing against the wall. And it just doesn't, it's just a mess, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I'm assuming De Niro is still maybe your default Capone, if not.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I particularly his Capone's even that great, but I guess it's better than this one, I suppose.
Listen, in regards to Capone, I will say it's interesting. All right, I will give Trank that. This is interesting. I'm not seeing any grand statement here to go along with what I think a Trank is because he's given us, I think, at one point something that's really deadly serious, but also kind of darkly comic. And we finally get to see 100% Trank here, right? He wrote and directed this thing. Remember in Chronicle, too, that just this erstwhile POS Max Landis wrote that. So based off a story that he did with Trank. Either way, Max Landis, that whole family, him and his dad, just horrible people. Anyway, so this thing makes a lot of weird decisions that I can't get along with at all. I'm wondering at one point, is this presented by the STD Council? Did they fund this thing to kind of illustrate just the ravages of syphilis and why you don't want to... Yeah.
Where condoms kids are going to be pooping yourself in your last days.
And the thing is, it's not even that particularly compelling, right? I mean, as we flash back and forth through time, or at least that he's haunted by these dreams and visions and hallucinations about his past and himself as a kid and whatever, it's just at no point is it really that interesting, right? And let me tell you, the incontinence is a treat. I think we get to see him poop himself 3 times in the first 20 minutes, so that was well worth the price of the rental. But when I'm watching this thing, Matt, I'm like, who is this for? Like,
right.
What is the point of this? Do I really care to see a man who's haunted by his misdeeds who is that awful? What's Trank going to do next? Like Portrait of a Troubled Artist, the early years of Adolf Hitler? I don't understand like what this is. And if it's just like a poor attempt to humanize Capone, I don't think so, because he doesn't present him in any kind of redeeming fashion, right? I think that's illustrated and confirmed by the various and numerous pooping issues that we experience throughout this thing.
Well,
so
maybe he's trying to say something about the nature of punishment and how everybody gets something in the end.
I don't know. I think the problem is just that this character has no relevancy to this time. I don't know if I'm clouded by current events. I don't think so. I mean, granted, I know I need escape right now more than ever, but this just felt like some kind of half-baked attempt at an art house melodrama featuring a ham-fisted, grunting, and shitting performance by Tom Hardy that I just can't even begin to wrap my head around. I don't understand it. I really don't understand what we're going for with this thing. Is there some grand message theme here that I'm missing?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's giving it all together too much credit. I mean, like I said at the top of this segment, I don't understand what the hell Tom Hardy is doing in this performance. I mean, I thought his Eddie Brock performance was cringeworthy. This is somehow even worse than that. That's partly why I challenged Chris's greatest or current living actor or whatever it was he said based off of his recent work. I find that highly suspect declaration.
I was born in the dark. I just listen. Child 44, which was a movie in 2015 that I was really excited about, is horrendous. Lawless is not good.
Right.
This Means War made him say he'd never do a romantic comedy again. That's the one with him and Chris Pine, and I'm blanking. Was it Reese? I don't remember.
Yeah, who knows?
But he's great in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He's a breath of fresh air in Inception. He's in Layer Cake, which is a film I love.
Yeah.
Which, of course, prompted me to call Daniel Craig to be the next James Bond, and I got that one right. So we'll see if I get Tom Hardy right. And we get Dark Knight Rises, we said, Locke, and The Drop, right? 2013, 2014, back-to-back doubleheader knockout films. If you haven't seen Lock or The Drop, they're both fantastic.
I'm
Fury
not saying
Road, the best film we've done since the show started. That's not called Drive.
I understand that. I understand that he has some good films, but he's got a lot of stinkers. Like, I was not even that big of a fan of Bronson. The first time I think I was really introduced to Mr. Hardy and his wang many times over in that film.
That is... Now, I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. That may be his best performance. He is so good in Bronson. It's ridiculous. That film is fantastic if you haven't seen it. And of course, it's an NWR joint, right? So, and I got to stop using joint. But it's an NWR film. So, I think I'd seen Drive prior to that, and I just started to devour Refn's filmography. But no, Bronson, he's so good in that. You got to check that out. So, no, you're wrong. And then, plus, you know, who knows what he's going to bring to the table with Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That thing is going to be like, you know, Oscar time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Him and Harrelson. Dual nominations. Right. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, right. The thing is going to be awful. I think it's going to be nigh unwatchable.
I think it's going to be a Razzie performance for Hardy. I would not be surprised if he's nominated for a Razzie for this thing. I don't know. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm not hip. Maybe I'm not intelligent enough. I don't know. It's just, Matt, I'm giving Capone a D. For not good.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a D- for very not good.
Okay. Man, $10 rental too on this Bad Bear.
Yeah, fuck you for making me do that.
About 10, 15 minutes into the film, after the third or second pooping, I don't know why I'm not saying the S word since we were saying other stuff. But anyway, I'm like, why didn't I wait till it was $4 or $5? What is wrong with me?
Yeah, waited 2 weeks. It's probably going to be on Netflix, in like a week and a half.
I was trying to capture the zeitgeist, Matt, all the Capone talk, and then everything else happened in the world, so nobody's caring. Rightfully so. Yeah. Right. But still, it's...
Well, we struck while that iron was hot, so here we are. Capone, folks.
In an episode probably nobody will get around to listening to. All right. Well, the self-indulgence tour continues. We're going to spend a few minutes and talk about what's coming up on physical media this upcoming Tuesday, June 9th. But as always, if you have some thoughts about Capone, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. If I'm off base, if Matt's off base, maybe it is very good. Email us. Let's move on and hear a clip.
Hey there. Help you?
A pack of lights, please. Coming right up.
You want to fill her up?
I don't have a car.
Oh, he walked over.
Oh.
Everything okay?
I lost my wallet.
Oh.
For, emergencies. You want some matches with that? Yeah. A little sweaty. What state is this?
Sorry?
You don't understand the question?
Oh, no, I didn't. Just... Most people know where they are.
Why ain't most people?
You're in the glorious state of Arkansas.
And things go horribly awry from there. Matt, that is Betty Gilpin in the most controversial film of 2019. So controversial that they had to postpone it to 2020. And that, of course, is The Hunt, a film that we did earlier this year that I rather enjoyed. It is, I think, a lot of fun. It is kind of just gonzo crazy at times. If you haven't seen The Hunt, now's your big chance to pick it up on physical media. You get 3 featurettes on the making of the film, including some death scene breakdowns. You agree with me, right? The Hunt was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was okay. I don't know if I enjoyed it quite as much as you did. I think I even pointed out some of Gilpin's acting choices I found strange. Took me out of it a couple times, but it's overall enjoyable.
I think it fits. Her over-the-top performance kind of fits with the ridiculousness of the entire endeavor. But I appreciate and respect your opinion.
Well, I can't wait for our reader mail because you said they agreed with you, which only means that they probably disagreed with me, which I can't imagine.
So, moving on, Alexandria Daddario stars in We Summon the Darkness. The killing spree of murderous Satanists has already led to 18 deaths throughout America's heartland. Three best friends, Alexis, Val, and Beverly, embark on a road trip to a heavy metal music festival. Naive, they bond with three seemingly fun-loving dudes, and soon the group heads off to Alexis' country home, a very secluded place, for an after party. Now, what's weird is Daddario seems to choose some really weird projects every now and then. She did the Malevolence sequel, which I don't think I've seen. I've only seen the first film. I think this is more. The sequel is actually a prequel. And some stuff I'm not too sure. That Baywatch film is just an utter disaster. So I don't know, but we like Alex, so we're always rooting for her here. Matt, Think Like a Dog. Megan Fox, Julia Jones, Janet Montgomery, and Josh Duhamel star. When his science experiment goes awry, Oliver, a 12-year-old tech prodigy, forges a telepathic communication with his dog. Or a connection. Either one works. The dog's name is Henry. This brings the two best friends even closer as they realize how much they have in common, like their love for pancakes and eating their own poo. That is not correct. Includes audio commentary with the writer-director Gil Junger, and then a making a featurette. Anything is possible. Making Think Like a Dog. Paw. Like a dog.
I get it. Thank you.
Well, obviously there are a lot of actresses who are screwed over, but Megan Fox, man, you know,
Yeah, it's too bad.
she is.
I like Jennifer's Body.
I was just about to say, if you haven't seen Jennifer's Body, that thing was criminally underrated and underseen. It is a lot of fun. She's great in it, and written by Diablo Cody, and it's a blast. So if you haven't seen Jennifer's Body, you should definitely check it out. A film, I don't know if before its time or just underappreciated. I don't quite understand. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is giving us an unmarried woman. When her husband of 16 years abruptly leaves her for a younger woman, Manhattan gallery worker Erica finds herself alone and adrift, but also newly empowered to explore her needs and desires as she tests the waters of a new relationship with a charismatic artist. It's a brand new 4K restoration of the film, a ported over audio commentary from 2005 featuring the director Paul Mazeroski and actor Jill Klaber, new interviews, and more. Shout Select is giving us Princess Caribou, starring Jim Broadbent, Wendy Hughes, Kevin Kline, John Lithgow, Stephen Ray, and a certain actress I will be speaking of later on when we discuss Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's Song is being released as well. James Caan and Billy D. Williams bring the TV movie to life about Gail Sayers and Brian Piccolo. Tinto Brass's P.O. Box is being released. The film's a series of letters, photos, and video cassettes, which women often send in to certain newspapers. By visualizing their storytelling, the name given by the psychologist to their fantasies, the film portrays the confessions, secret longings, adventures, recollections, dreams, desires, and fantasies of those women. You haven't seen any of Tinto Brass's work, Matt? Have you seen any of his stuff?
No, I haven't.
He's kind of a schlocky. Nah, that's not fair. He's kind of a European sex movie guy. Like, not dirty.
Yeah.
Like Red Shoe Diaries, but like high production value stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
And I think some penetration once in a while.
Well, you got to keep people guessing, I suppose.
You get a new 4K restoration of the film, as well as a 2K restoration of Is Into Brass, and more. Oh, I screwed it up, folks. Did you know that the Think Like a Dog was your straight-to-DVD pick of the week?
Oh, you totally ruined it. Show ruined.
I did. It's been a crazy week. So Think Like a Dog, your straight-to-DVD. I just like the idea, Matt, of the kid having a telepathic link with his pup.
Yeah.
And then the dog basically just saying, I want to eat, I want to sleep, and I want to lick myself. And the kid's like, what do you mean? I'm 12. This is freaking me out. So, there you go. What should we be streaming this week?
So in honor of our 80s marathon wrapping up, I'm going to recommend a piece of TV movie nostalgia. It's horrible, guys. It's horrible. Just go into that knowing that, but it's horrible in a good way. So if you're into those kind of bad films, stars the illustrious Tom Hanks in one of his earliest roles. It's called Mazes and Monsters, about the height of the satanic panic. D&D mothers obviously lock up your children because they're learning spells and worshiping the devil, where he plays a college student who takes his friends down into the local cave system to play a version of a game called Mazes and Monsters, and he goes crazy and can no longer determine reality from fantasy, and Satan gets his hooks in him, and it's a wild ride of just terrible acting.
I have never heard of this before.
Mm-hmm. It's available on Amazon Prime, and a slew of other streaming services. Even if you don't subscribe to those, like Pluto, Tubi, Vudu, you can watch it if you're willing to watch with ads. You can watch on any of those platforms as well for free.
But it's not good.
It's not good, but it's not good in a good way.
Fair enough. Mazes and Monsters. I'm looking at the VHS cover right now, and it does look like a delight. All right. I've never heard about you, buddy. I'll have to look into you. You're probably too young, but I was growing up right in the middle of all that stuff with the whole satanic panic stuff in the 80s. Yeah. Watching the stuff on HBO or something, and specials about how Satanists are infiltrating your neighborhood and you have to be on guard. And it's a crazy time.
Yeah, I was at the real tail end of that stuff, but I mean, really, mine was the crack epidemic, and street gangs were literally everywhere, just waiting to take over suburbia.
Oh, that's not half as much fun.
It's not, no.
That's much more heartbreaking. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's okay.
All right, so we got a couple emails to read here. First off, our good buddy Sean's checking in. So I thought a lot about, So I have a lot of thoughts of this week. First, I wanted to say he definitely loves the rundowns of the physical media picks every week. See?
Fine, Sean. Fine.
He says you can stuff it.
No, he does not.
He knows I like to yell at you. That's why he's giving me a little, just the thumbs up to go ahead and give you a hard time.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's a big Malik guy, Matt, as well, and he loved The Hidden Life. He did agree with us, though, about everything we said. The cinematography is out of this world. He loved the journey that takes you on, but he feels it could be a little shorter. Mm-hmm. But he does really like the Tree of Life, too, which is exceptionally long, as do I. And I don't seem to have the whole duration issues with Tree of Life. We should write back, Sean, or if you're listening, too. Have you watched the full extended version from Criterion? I'm curious what you think of that much longer version. He says he may even pop down, Matt, for the Snyder Cut if I end up renting a theater. Funny story.
Oh, really?
So I went to tour Greenlight Cinema. This is an art house, a little small cinema that's going to be opening up here in St. Pete when and if the world gets back on track. And he'll be potentially renting out the theater. So he's going to work up a price sheet to see how much that would cost. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out to do like a first run fest. You'll have to come down for this, Matt, and run some films.
Okay.
And I think one of them I would try to do is to do the Snyder Cut here. I don't know how I'd pull it off. Maybe it would just be a personal rental, because that way you can kind of just do whatever you want.
Right.
I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, so we'll keep you posted on that. That actually happens. So, But let's put it this way: the odds of it actually happening got a little bit better last week. Okay. So. And then long-time listener and former contributor to the website, Jason. JT, feel free if you ever want to hit us back up. We'd love to hear from you or feature anything you wanted to write. He wanted to congratulate us on 500 shows. He said it was a great accomplishment, and he's thanking us for recommending a ton of really good films to him. He did watch The Love Witch, and he does not understand my affection for that thing at all. I still like that film a lot. He did recommend something called The Vast of Night that's on Amazon, which is supposed to be a lo-fi sci-fi film.
Okay.
It's supposed to be quite good. I looked it up, actually, and it looks really interesting, so we'll have to check that out. We are always looking for second films to add. Okay. He's happy, too, that we keep rolling with everything that's happening, that we're still churning out episodes, even though, the theaters are all closed. But he thinks that I'm secretly harboring a rage against Zack Snyder, and that I should really just kind of cut loose and let it happen. And he does not believe that I really want to watch the Justice League extended cut.
Yeah, you know what?
Maybe it'll be worth my time to do it.
Right. Maybe deep down, maybe you just want validation. You're hoping that it's going to be good, but it's secretly, you just want to be validated that it's okay to hate it.
No,
it's not a B film anymore.
I don't. No, it's probably, if I'm honest, BVS is probably a C plus movie for me at this point. I'm still going C plus.
Okay.
But
Still wrong. Okay, but I understand.
anyway, I do want to see it. I want to see it. I'm a DC guy. The fact that Martian Manhunter is supposed to be in it, right? Justice League. I'm sorry, Green Lantern, Darkseid. They're gonna. Who knows what else she's gonna squeeze into this thing? Supergirl, perhaps. I just the comic geek in me just wants to see this stuff on the screen, even if it's gonna be a disaster. I really hope it's not. I'm constantly hoping that I'm gonna come in, and I'm the guy who is hoping Justice League is gonna be fantastic.
Right.
I am. And I don't, my heart says no. Let's just say my brain says no. My heart, though, desperately wishes that it will.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really just, yeah. I want DC, the DC films to be good, but I think half of them just need to be slash and burned. I mean, if it ever comes out, I'm really looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984. I think it's going to be pretty dope.
Yep. And I think, I read that the new Batman film may resume filming next month. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that turns out. And of course, there's rumors. This is why I hate the internet. So I don't know if it's quite CBR, but some crap site saying that they're going to move forward now, potentially depending how Justice League does, or they've already talked to Ben Affleck and it's now just signing contracts to do a limited series with Batfleck and then Manganiello, whatever his name is Deathstroke.
Okay.
To kind of continue that on the side on HBO Max.
Great.
I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I really don't. So thanks for writing in, guys. As always, feedback at thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear from you. Our 86 marathon wraps up, Matt.
Thankfully, wraps up.
What's supposed to be a classic.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll let you know if it is. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
In 1904, the United States decided to throw a little weight around and, Who is it?
Mr. Pizza Guy.
Again?
Mr. Pizza Guy, sir. Order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude. Here, dude.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Mr. Spicoli, you're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
I've been thinking about this, Mr. Han. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time? Certainly there's nothing wrong with a little feast on our time.
Totally did. Sean Young bursts on the scene.
Sean Penn.
Did I say Sean Young?
Yes, you did.
It's late. I'm very, very tired. But you wouldn't know outside of my verbal slip-ups.
Sure.
Brain freezes. Sean Penn bursts on the scene. That's Jeff Spicoli.
Yeah.
In Fast Times at Ridgemont High, featuring also Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Brian Backer. You just heard Ray Walston, my favorite Martian, in there as well, and Phoebe Cates. Matt, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was a 1982 comedy directed by Amy Heckerling, written by Cameron Crowe, about a group of high schoolers kind of just navigating their way through school and trying to have some fun, maybe get a little action. And dealing with the ups and downs of high school life. Of course, we did get, as I said, Sean Penn, not Sean Young, two very different people. And a quick little cameo there, Taylor Negron, who is one of my favorite kind of comedian actor guys from the 80s and 90s, was the pizza delivery guy, and I absolutely adore that he is credited as himself in that film.
There's a lot of people that are in that film.
Oh, yeah. Nick Coppola?
Yeah, Nick Coppola.
Coppola, I should say.
Coppola, yeah. A.K.A. the wonderful Nick Cage. Eric Stoltz is in this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Even Anthony Edwards. Yeah, when he still had hair.
Forrest Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, Phoebe Cates had a very strong influence on me, Matt, growing up.
Yeah.
I think she kind of solidified my aesthetic preference in Partners.
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying.
The
I got what you're putting down.
No, I think she locked in the brown hair, brown eyes thing.
Sure.
I'm not sure what it is, but I absolutely fell in love with her when I saw it. I was probably, this came out in 82. I was born in, and I probably, though, didn't see this until I was a little older, which probably be about 12 or 13, maybe, right? And I was just mesmerized by her. To this day, I still am. I don't know what it is. Like, it's like a Looney Tunes double take thing with me. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But Phoebe Cates still has that same impact on me. A very big impression on an impressionable Chris Scalzo back in the day. So this was a big film for me growing up. So going into this, I felt this was likely the crown jewel of our marathon. So does it live up to its reputation, or is this just another sexed up disaster of a comedy?
I wouldn't say it's a sexed up disaster of a comedy, but I would say it's not as funny as its reputation would suggest. I was expecting something to be something that was like maybe slightly subversive.
Not enough, no pie fucking for you? Is that your problem?
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean more as opposed to like the kind of screwball stuff that we have been seeing to be more kind of subtle. And I don't know if that we really get that. I think it's more, I almost want to say it's almost like a dramedy. I mean, it's more about a bunch of horned up high school students kind of talking in a way that you probably wouldn't have seen in film, especially for actors that young. Phoebe Cates is just like kind of filthy through this the whole time, even though she doesn't really. I was kind of shocked at all of her.
You be respectful.
I am being. I'm making an observation that I wasn't expecting some of that dialogue. And Jennifer Jason Leigh's like 12 in this. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting something to be much more uproariously funny, even if it was more of a subtle comedy.
Sorry, I can make sure I didn't hear you correctly. Did you say Screwballs was subtle?
No, I was expecting it to be. I was saying that not Screwballs, the movie that we watch, but more like the broad screwball comedies, which all of these that we've been kind of watching are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would not describe Screwballs.
No.
As subtle at all.
Yeah, I was saying that all of these films that we've watched have been screwball type comedies, whereas they're very broad and they're very kind of exaggerated. This I was expecting to be a lot more subtle and sophisticated, and I think it is to an extent, but to the point where there's almost no jokes in it.
I think there's definitely some jokes there, but I definitely agree with you that it doesn't really fit the sex comedy template that we've experienced so far as part of this marathon. In fact, I would almost excise it from the entire experiment. I don't know if it really belongs here at all. I still thought it was funny, and I think the dialogue and the punchlines were quite good. I think maybe the problem is that they're cliched now. I think they wouldn't have been really back then. But now they certainly are. I can see so many films that basically bid off of this movie. Much like Screwballs with Porky's, right? There's a lot of comedy stuff that you've seen since then. And I think Cameron Crowe's really, and Amy Heckerling, do a great job of capturing what it's like to be in high school. And I think why the film, for me, was so successful is that it doesn't really shy away from the difficult moments. It doesn't perhaps give them the depth that they truly deserve, but it's 1982. So there's really, I don't know how deep we're going to dive into a young woman having to have an abortion, right? Especially in something that's supposed to be ostensibly an 80s kind of high school sexy comedy. But still, it goes there, and I think it treats, here's what it is. It treats its characters like real people with, I think, respectfully, right? And I think it portrays kind of high school life. These characters aren't punchlines. They don't exist as jokes, which is what we've kind of seen in our prior films. So that's why I think it's a much better film. But I think the problem with it, like you say, it doesn't really, it's the square peg in the circles of all the other films as we're trying to fit them in the puzzle box. Though I will qualify the true high school life stuff, because clearly still, in all of these films, everybody get a lot more action in high school than I ever did. So there is that touch of fantasy in every single one of them. Damn it.
Right.
But overall, I think it's quite good. I enjoyed Jennifer Jason Leigh here as Stacy. I think it's nice that there's a sex-positive woman who's in control of her own sexuality. She may be a little naive, but she's not a victim.
Right.
She's not assaulted like almost all the women in Screwballs, right? And Porky's. So I think it does a good job with that as well. I'm sure I lean part of that to having a female director, though the women are shared with us in a male gaze a couple times, but it didn't feel as exploitive as we'd seen obviously in the prior films in this marathon. Mm-hmm. And let's all be honest, let's not forget that Fast Times is famous basically for one scene in particular. Yes.
So, that's will live forever in the annals of cinema.
Yeah. Well, it's perfectly presented. You coming out of the pool with a moving in stereo from the cars hitting at just the right moment.
I will say the soundtrack on this kicked ass.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a legendary classic soundtrack as well. So for me, I think, Matt, it does hold up and live up to its reputation. Mm-hmm. It's not a Blues Brothers 80s comedy romp,
right?
But I think it's quite good and well worth your time. I think the jokes are there. I think the drama is handled deftly, and I think it's really good. We'll get into the awards later, but it is it's quite good. I ended up feel free to add anything else you want to, but I'm giving Fast Times B+.
Yeah, I think it is quite good. Based on its reputation alone, I expected something much, much funnier, or at least much more. The jokes are going to be a mile a minute kind of thing, which they're just not. But it is a much better, sophisticated, competent, and confident film than any of the ones we've seen so far, or any of the ones we've seen. Although, if we took it out of the marathon, maybe that's the right thing to do. Maybe we shouldn't put Meatballs back, because every time I looked at this thing, Meatballs came up as a suggestion as something we should watch based off of all the things that I've been watching on these streaming services. So, we missed out on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we can push everything back then and just throw in Meatballs
just to see.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. So, what are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it a B. Okay. I think it's probably it's a very strong film.
So a hard B, no B+ because of Phoebe Cates, huh?
You know what? I don't want to stoop to that level, Chris. I'm going to give it on its broad merits altogether.
Let me be clear. I am not talking about Phoebe Cates because of that one scene. That's not the scene that elevated it. It's just her generally.
Yeah.
Like it's her and Gremlins too had the same impact.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw Gremlins first, actually, did I? Mm-hmm. I may have, which started my Phoebe Cates affection, now that I think about it. I think I did see Gremlins.
That makes sense, given how young you are, because I only ever knew her for the longest time from Gremlins.
Yeah, I'll bet you that's what it is. Yeah. So now I feel even better. I feel even less creepy. So that's good.
I'm glad I could help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And of course, she is the woman who stars in Princess Caribou, which we talked about in the other segment. Mm-hmm. Fast Times Ridgemont High is available. If you're a Starz subscriber, you can watch it right now. Or it's actually on sale as of the recording of this show. What day is it? June 2nd, Matt? For $5 on iTunes.
Oh, nice.
And Amazon Prime. You can buy it right now for a fin. If you've seen it, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Let's go ahead then, Matt, and move on and hand out some gold. It's going to be the next round of the first runners. Runnies? Oh, we don't want to go runnies. It's going to be the 86 Comedy Marathon Awards. We'll be right back.
I think you're an asshole. No, let me correct that. An immature asshole. You're a slob. You dress like a bum. Second, you're unmotivated. You have no self-esteem, no thought about the future. You're inconsiderate, you're insensitive, you're insincere, and you're irresponsible. A show-off. You're vulgar. You're inappropriate. You're unrefined. You're obnoxious.
Well, Mr. Thompson, that's really quite a list. And you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think if I really apply myself, I could be a totally changed person by the time we finish lunch.
Of course, that was Tom Hanks and George Grizzard in Bachelor Party. I feel that I may have had a similar conversation with my father-in-law at some point. At least not that far off.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry?
That's not your fault. You had nothing to do with it.
I know.
I didn't realize that the soundtrack to Bachelor Party included a song from Adrian Zemed.
Oh, very nice.
How about that? Good for you. All right, so that was Bachelor Party, one of the better films in our marathon, Matt. Did it win any awards? I guess we're about to find out. Matt, why don't you start off with your pick for Best Actor in the marathon?
Well, really, I think the choices are really small. I mean, I think you could pick from either Bachelor Party or Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Mm-hmm. But I got to give it to my main man, Tom Hanks, in Bachelor Party. I think he's by far the best comedic voice in any of these comedies. You can see the kind of charm that he's going to, rely on for the rest of his career. So I think he was surprisingly solid in that film.
Not the guy who played Melvin Jerkovsky?
No, it was tough. It was close. There were quite a few guys in Screwballs that I really wanted to nominate, but I couldn't do it. They didn't quite make the cut for me.
Though I wanted to go with Taylor Negron for his pizza delivery role in Fast Times. I agree with you. I think Tom Hanks clearly is far and away the winner in this category. Easily the most fun performance and interesting one. And really, I think Tom Hanks solidified the man-child role, right, for 80s comedies. And this, he's your dictionary example. And of course, I think the template for Bruce Willis's David Addison character in Moonlighting, which I think I said during that episode too, which is one of my all-time favorite shows and characters. So yeah, Tom Hanks running away. Matt, let's talk about actress then. I will go first on this one. Obviously, It's Phoebe Cates. No, it's going to be. Actually, I think for me, it is going to be Jennifer Jason Leigh in Fast Times. I think she actually provides a rather nuanced performance as Stacey Hamilton. The kind of just shy, naive, kind of desperate to come into her own. She has this best older friend who's older, played by Cates, who clearly is maybe making up some stuff on her own as well. Doesn't have her own stuff figured out, but she is at points very funny, but vulnerable and smart, and kind of just well aware and control of herself, even when she's been given some unfortunate life circumstances that she has to deal with. So I think the best performance we've seen out of any of these films is going to be Miss Jason Leigh, and just blows my mind, Matt. I'm watching this thinking, That's The Hateful Eight. That's
I know.
Daisy Domergue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the single white female as well. So
that's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jennifer Jason Leigh as well. I mean, the sad fact is there wasn't a lot to choose from as far as the actresses and the performances, and I think it's just more the type of roles that they were given, not necessarily commenting on their abilities. Just what was allowed to be on display. But Jennifer Jason Leigh is by far and away the best actress in these films. She gives a very real, nuanced performance, and everything. I'll parrot everything that Chris just said.
Yeah, I mean, next I think closest is Tawny Katane, who is almost invisible in that film, really performance-wise. And outside of that, almost every other woman has been presented to us has been an object.
Sure.
So, and of course, outside of Phoebe Cates. Okay, Matt. Who provided the best direction in this marathon?
Again, I think this is no contest. I think Amy Heckerling runs away with this one. You can see, obviously she's had some real classics in her career, although at the same time, maybe not as much, not as productive as an output as I would have thought, just based on the name recognition and some of the classics I do remember her directing. But yeah, this is she does a fantastic job. I think it's really by far and away the best directing performance out of any of the ones we saw this marathon.
Agreed. I really don't think there's any other option here. I could make a weak argument for Bob Clark and Porky's. You can there's definitely a little flair there, at least Clark-isms that I can easily identify, as you can see in Black Christmas and of course A Christmas Story. Man, is there a director who's had a weirder range of films? But in the end, Heckerling really is, and I think this is her first film too. Is masterful in this film. And also, too, I forgot another thing I wanted to mention who else was in Fast Times is Pamela Springsteen, who is not only Bruce's sister.
Oh, okay.
But she plays Angela in the Sleepaway Camp sequels.
Oh, okay.
So when she popped up, I'm like, wait a minute, why do I know who that is? And then it all clicked in my head who it was. So, yeah. There you go. All right, Matt. So then we'll save the best film for last.
Okay.
What was the most offensive moment of this entire marathon for you?
There's so many. I'm really struggling with this. Part of me wants to say the shower scene in Porky's, which I think is probably the most iconic scene from that film, air quotes. But even just the fact that, he sticks his dick through the hole and the teacher grabs it and all that kind of stuff. Although Pee-wee getting laid at the end of Porky's is also pretty bad.
Yes.
And I hated Pee-wee a lot.
Yes.
And then Screwballs, I think I've hysterically blocked out most of that film. I think a lot of it, I could have picked anything from that film. The one that's standing out a lot is the kind of, I guess, the one where the guy dresses up in drag and he pretends he's a substitute and he goes in and tries to get all the girls to show him their breasts in a home ec class or something to measure for bras. That was pretty bad. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with the shower scene. I don't see what the allure of the shower scene is from Porky's.
I don't either. I originally wrote down all of Screwballs. And then I tried to trim it down to just the first 15 minutes when there's 3 sexual assaults. You have where the same guy plays the fake doctor who checks all the women's breasts for breast cancer, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
There's the Eiffel Tower scene where he's got the guy's got the Eiffel Tower model that he's pushing into the woman's mouth.
Oh, right.
There's, of course, just the existence of Melvin Jerkovsky. And then the mirror, the one kid who sets up the mirror thing to look up the women's skirts.
Yeah.
It's any one of those. I can't, like I say, I want to just say like the first 15 minutes of that film if I remember correctly, I said I almost turned it off. It was so offensive. And it's because the way they play it, like it's just boys being boys, childish stuff, what they do. Like detention stamp, comes up on the screen. It's funny because they're sexually assaulting these women. The Porky scene, I think, is the most famous, probably out of all of these. That is that is offensive. But I think I'm gonna go with. Man, I don't know. I really can't make up my mind on this one.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with the... I really don't know, Matt. I guess I'm going to go... I have
all
to go...
Screwball seems like a valid answer to me.
I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm going to go... But I will fine-tune it into the opening 13 to 15 minutes of Screwballs.
There you go.
I'm going to focus on... You have 3 sexual assaults in the opening of your film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find that kind of offensive. So there you go.
Yeah, although I will say I'm very surprised. I was, based on reputation alone, I expect Zapped to be in there, but I think it's not even close.
No. I'm still to this day, I'm shocked how mostly tame that film was. Yeah. I really thought it was going to be like a Screwballs romp of just horrible bad taste, but it wasn't. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
But it was more shockingly boring than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. I'm going to tell you what the best film of this marathon was.
Okay.
I think it's pretty easy to figure out for me is that it's Fast Times, the Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the least offensive out of everything we saw. But if we yank it out, like you say, because it doesn't really fit the template that we've built, then I guess I got to go Bachelor Party.
Yeah.
But man, that scene with the trans woman is not sit well. That's another great offensive moment with the
or the Japanese businessman.
Yep, that's a great one.
Yeah,
that is oof. But if we end up seeing Meatballs, it would be funny to revisit that. But I think Fast Times is obviously the best film of the series. And if you force me to yank it out, then it falls to Bachelor Party, and then the rest is just burned down. What about you?
Yeah, same. I would say it's the obvious choice, and really the only choice is Fast Times. But if you're putting the criteria of that it's not really a sex comedy or an 80s sex comedy, then Bachelor Party would sneak in there is by far the best. And I think I just really want to stress that's because Porky's and Screwballs and Zaps somehow set the bar so low. So low.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, that's not only tripping on the rake, but you step on it, hit yourself in the face, and then a bird craps on your head. Like those 3 films, just having to watch all 3 of those things at once. It's not pleasant.
You're welcome. This marathon was my idea, folks. This one, the last one, we just got done, and I think one later in the year that we're gonna.
It's the next one, isn't it?
No, the next one is foreign sci-fi, which was your idea. Mine was neo-noir, which is after that.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. And then we wrap up the year with the band films.
That's right.
Which you can see what they are on the calendar right now. Oh, I think I got to repin that on the Twitter page there, so you can check it out. But yeah, next week, Matt. Well, actually, what are the awards? What do you think you should have won? Just an email feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, next week we're going to discuss Emma, and then the new version of Les Miserables, the French film that was nominated for Best International Film at the Oscars last year. I've heard some really great things about this, Matt. It's available on Prime, so we'll be discussing that. In case you're curious, though, the next marathon is supposed to start in July. It is foreign sci-fi, as Matt said. We'll be discussing Stalker, World on a Wire, Solaris, Time Crimes, and then Big Man Japan. So
I'm very excited for that one.
You know, I got to check out too. Was it The World or The Legend of Ricky O? I have always wanted to see that. Friend of the show, Ricky Permetti, recommend that we watch that at some point. So I don't know. Are you familiar with that at all, Matt?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It's supposed to be absolutely crazy, over the top, gory, and yeah. Anyway, maybe someday it'll hit the show. Mm-hmm. All right, that's gonna be the big show for this week. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually, you will find us. You can go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. It'll help other people find the show. And I guess that's gonna be it. So everybody stay safe. Take care of yourself. You are loved. We love you. And we're going to take an extended break. And we will see you all soon. Solidarity.
Learn it. Know it. Live it.